Good evening and happy Saturday. So check this out, right? You guys remember watching like WWE back in the day, right? You would have like Triple H or versus The Rock, or The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. There was just bitter rivalry. It was just a heated rivalry, man. You would pick sides too. Like, let's say Triple H versus The Rock, right? Triple H was like the bad guy wrestler, so you know that was the guy you like hate on, right? And then the hero was The Rock, right? You'd have a super villain, and then you would have a hero, and you know usually like The Rock always was like the hero, right? The superhero, kind of like how Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was always usually like the superhero. Triple H was always like kind of like the villain, you know, he'd do some diabolical stuff, and you would pick sides, right? And you would argue with your brother, your sister, whatever, watching it, and then you'd just be like, no, I want The Rock to win, blah, 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 blah. You know, and you guys would just have heated arguments about all that. And at the end of the day, though, they would both go to the bar together, right? They would both go to the bar and give each other, like, you know, like, fuck yeah, bro, we got paid, man. That's like how politics is, bro. That's exactly how politics are. My theory is like, man, all these politicians, you know, they try to get you to pick a side. They try to get you to argue amongst each other, and they only argue on camera. But at the end of the day, man, they all dap it up after. That's why I'm like, politics in America is just a joke, dude. Especially now. I wasn't always like this. I used to be more rational, right? Politics used to be much more rational, especially when I was growing up. I never remembered it like this. But now, if you look at politics, it's just an absolute joke. You'll have a whole news stations dedicated to just being like, they suck and blah, 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 just basically insulting each other, instead of any of them bringing up why we should vote for them in the first place. I noticed that if I watch Fox News, or if I watch CNN or any of the liberal news stations versus the conservative news stations, I notice more and more, none of them even really talk about why you should vote for them and their party, as much as they say why you shouldn't vote for their party, right? So if you were just going to use pure logic, you would be like, I wouldn't vote for either of these parties, because none of them are really making a compelling argument why I should vote for either one of them, because like I said, they both just insult each other. And of course, they're all on the same side. And if you check this out about politics, right? Check this out. How can a politician go into politics with a net worth of like maybe 50 grand, and they leave and they're worth like 20-30 million dollars, right? That right there alone shows you that it's just all a money game. I mean, look no further than to who funds them, right? If you just go check and see like who's their like super donors, and it's usually corporations, and sometimes very wealthy billionaires, but a lot of the times it's corporations that are putting money in their pocket, because hey, corporations are considered people, so they could give donations to campaigns. Why are they considered people? Is because they have they're a corporate entity, right? So they have papers. They're a straw man. They have papers saying that they're XYZ corporation, you know, or whatever. So they're basically legally a person, right? So in that, like, you know, in that loophole, a corporation could donate to like any candidate, to whatever candidate, right? And in politics, it's whoever spends the most is the one that's going to win. And that's absolutely insane, because majority of Americans don't have a whole lot of money, but the politicians are making laws for the minority, which is the ultra rich. And that's politics in America. It doesn't matter what side you go on. I hate political arguments because no one ever brings that up. They just bring up like, oh, the liberals, you know, we care about people and this and that, and the conservatives, like, we're trying to like save you money. And like, dude, all of them sold out a long time ago to the corporations, man. Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard back in the 70s, man. That was like really like and put it on the petrodollar. And you know how that worked was basically. So the dollar used to be backed by physical gold, and Nixon basically took it off of the gold standard and put it on the petrodollar. So basically OPEC could only sell oil in US dollars, so every country would have to purchase U.S. dollars first, then go and buy their oil from OPEC. That's what kept the dollar artificially inflated, right? That's basically turned into a fiat currency. Well, that the banking system did that, turn into a fiat currency because they they take your money and 90% of it goes out in the loans, and the other 10% is just written up on a balance sheet. But anyway, but that I kind of got a little off subject about that. But yeah, anyway, Nixon, he switched it to the petrodollar, which basically means all other countries had to switch their currency into dollars, and then buy oil from OPEC. But yeah, anyway, politics is basically just a money game. It's just all a huge casino, all a huge money game. And like I was saying, how can we trust a political system where the minority are the ones who get the representation? There's a minority of people in this country who have money, and they're the ones who basically make the laws. They de facto make the laws because they're the ones funding the politicians, and they put the earmarks in the bills that favor their agendas, right? And then the politicians go and get the votes from us. They just throw people some scraps to get votes for them. Oh yeah, do this, vote for me, and I'll do this and that for you. And it's just all a big, huge joke. So for politics to ever be effective in this country, they need to eliminate. They need to eliminate candidates. They need to eliminate the candidates that basically just win off of how much money gets donated to them, right? Because those are the candidates that win at the end of the day. I mean, candidates should be elected by their merit, their true merit, right? Not how much money they have in the bank and not how lavish their campaigns are, right? Politicians need to be more vetted, and they need to have some kind of moral standard. And it seems like most politicians nowadays don't have much of a moral standard. They're just all about that dollar. So that's just my little deep dive on politics. How should we fix it? I'm not 100% sure. I'm just putting it out there because I don't know if a lot of people know that already, because they still talk about politics and talk about voting liberal or conservative when they're both basically on the same side, which is big money. So hopefully you all enjoy your evening, and peace.